Okay, so in Illustrator, I've started my type sheet, and I have just a default standard type up here. And then I have some of the different fonts that I had downloaded and searched for. And even after just doing about 3 of them, I kind of know the direction I'm most excited about to go with my image. And I'm actually thinking of my Christmas card image. And I want something that's more hand done. And I really like this. So I'm thinking maybe start looking for some tattoo inspired scripts. And this is kind of a classic 1930s kind of sailor tattoo font. It's nice. Can make use of that. I want my fonts to look hand done but not sloppy. And you also are looking at their readability. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Simple, blocky. For my Christmas card image. Good, so I'm going to throw those on. Maybe this one too. So what do? We learn through repetition. All these new ones, Tattoo Ink. I install it. You just double click on the TTF or the OTF and install it into your font book. Tattoo lettering. Ooh, I like when I have 2 options. So I have the filled in, the fill version, and then the open stroke version. But either one of these I can turn into what are called outlines, outline vectors in Illustrator, and modify them completely. Tattoo shop. This one's a little fancier. A little bit more going on with it. Looks like this one might have problems. Oh, there we go. Very nice. All right. And last one, freehand tattoo. By the way, if you're designing a tattoo, especially for yourself or for a client, include any text. Tattoo artists are amazing artists. They're not always the best spellers. So good to give it to them in their design. Okay. So I'm going to keep downloads open just so I can remind myself of all those names. They seem to have tattoo in most of them. So how do I add those to my type sheet? Well, I'm going to take my first basic type layer, select the type tool, select it all, copy it from that layer, lock it, add a new layer at the top, edit, paste in place, drag that down. Using the type tool, replace that with one of my new fonts. Start with Tattoo Ink. Ah, very nice. Make it a little bit smaller. See if it has any numbers. It does not. But you can also mix fonts, right? So I could use that for just one of my words, and then I could use letters from another font that I modify. Okay, I'm going to lock that. New one, edit, paste in place, drag it down, use the type tool, edit it, do a new font. This one also does not have lettering. You can type in options too. Thank you. It's really surprising the variety of point sizes in fonts, how some are just huge and others are tiny depending on the point size, but they're all vectors, so they can all be whatever size you want without any loss of quality. Lock that. This just becomes my font base. This is where I show all my research. It's like a bibliography. This will help in my designing. Okay, and now edit, paste in place. Bring it down. And if you love this, then typography and graphic design, something you should look into. To me, it feels a little tedious most of the time, but I like the results. Let's see, do I want closed or open? I'm going to do open. Ah, this one does have numbers. Wonderful. And I think I have room. If I just select that, copy it, edit, paste in place, I could also do the closed version underneath it. All right, so I'm going to save this now. Save Carl's Fiesta type sheet as an AI file, because I'm just going to use it as an Illustrator file. I'm not going to bring it into Photoshop. Okay, and now I have to think, how do I want this to look with my spot illustration? So what do? I open up my PNG, my finished colored spot illustration that I've flattened into a PNG that's transparent. I'm going to open that with Illustrator. Okay, that does not make it into a vector, and I do not want to trace it into a vector. I want to keep it as a JPEG, not as a JPEG, but as a raster file. But I want to shrink it, come on, to fit using the black selection tool. And I want to lock it. So now I just have the image. I can build text around. I create a new layer, and here I drag it out. So I have my type sheet on one layer, and this with the other. And let's start with my favorite. So what do I think is going to look good? I like this one. So this layer, unlock, select it all, copy it, move it over to here, type tool. Do I want it above or below? Let's try it above. Paste in place. All right. Throw it right there. Okay, that does not look very professional or finished, right? So the first thing before I start modifying it and making it my own, I want to play with the placement of the letters. What's going to look right around my image? So I think it'd be nice to have NLC here, maybe Fiesta here underneath. So how do I do something like that? I use the type tool just like a Word document. I erase it in there. I create a new layer, new type tool, click down here, paste it in. Now they're independent type layers. Place them where I want them. I can play with their sizes. That's very easy. And at this point, I want to be more like a designer, doing it by hand, not doing it by point size. So just using the large selection tool and holding down Shift. Maybe using the type tool to get rid of spaces I don't need. Trying different sizes. Just by holding down Shift to lock proportions. If I want to grow it from the middle like this, I hold down Shift and Option. Maybe a little bit smaller. Okay, now, what are some of the other things we can do? They're very horizontal, right? Maybe I don't want that. So check this out. If I use the type tool, I select all of this, Command C to copy it. I'm going to turn that type layer off, make a new type layer. And I'm going to first draw a path. So I'm going to use my pencil tool, and I'm going to draw an arc or a path. It can be a simple arc. You can do it with the pen tool too to get a perfect arc. Maybe I want something a little bit more like a banner, like that. And then I'm going to go to the Type on Path tool, and I click on the path I just drew, and then I paste it in. I expected oohs and ahs. That's okay. But what that does is it pushes my type onto this path, and I can play with the spacing in between by adding a space and then playing with the point size of the space. This is all before I actually modify the font, because as soon as I do what's called create outlines, I break the font from the font tools and I just turn it into vector shapes to modify, which is great. But while I have it as a type on path tool, I can also do this. Get ready to ooh and ah. Oh, never mind. I have to start on the path to modify it. But I can change the path. Ready? Did that ooh and ah you? Thank you. That's all I want. Now, why isn't it giving me my C? Well, these are the mysteries of Illustrator sometimes. But it's there. And I can use the type tool again to select the spaces in between. Okay, now that looks a little higgledy-piggledy. So let's clean it up. Let's just make it a nice arc. Yeah, that looks good. That looks like hand-done tattoo lettering. All right, of course, as type tools, you can do a lot more before we break its connection with the type. So if I select it all, I can choose a color. Like a red. Come on. Should be able to choose a color. Why am I not? Let's see. I'm going to try something here. So Illustrator does this annoying thing where it tries to anticipate from the way you're using tools what options to give you and what kind of file format to use. And we chose a print format specifically so I would have color options. But it looks like those color options are now broken from this file. Oh, that's because I'm not doing it on my type one that I created. I'm doing it on the JPEG one that I brought in. So what I need to do to fix that is copy all of these. So unlock all my vector layers and my JPEG. Select them all, copy them. So edit, copy. Say File, New, make sure it's a print format, and call this Carl Type Solutions Test. So we're still just playing around. Say OK, and then say Edit, Paste in Place. And now because we said that it's a print file, we should have all the color options available to us. The problem with doing that, the only annoyance, is that it takes each layer and it puts it all into one layer, but there's still